content or corrupting the identifiers would be illegal. And there was a question just a little bit earlier, what's stopping somebody removing these identifiers? Nothing at all, except the fact, why remove them and make the work illegal when you can leave them in place and anyone can use the content? It makes no sense to do so. Another rule, second rule, is anyone who owns one of the identifiers can make unlimited copies, make unlimited use of the work. If they want to transfer it to a CD to play on their car stereo or whatever, they are free to do so. That is the person who owns one of the two identifications attached to the content. Obviously, the author has these rights, and the consumer who purchases a copy or whatever, they would have these rights to make unlimited copies. Only
when it's illegal to remove the identification, and it's legal to make copies on any medium, what if the medium doesn't support the identification? For example, an analog cassette or something.
This is obviously mainly focused on the digital world in the future. If you were to transfer it to an analog cassette, I would, or whatever, yeah, some other medium which didn't directly support the identification, you could physically transcribe the URL to the object, or somewhere have some link to the object from a file. Yes, if you printed the cassette sleeve with an ID on it, that would be good enough as far as the system's concerned. And the third rule is that to issue new content with a new identification is you have to have the identification rights to do this. And the author obviously has all rights to the product. They would have these identification rights. If they sold on the work or transferred the work to a distributor or publisher, they might also transfer identification rights, so a publisher or distributor could then start issuing works or selling works and issuing new IDs. And the rights office system could track all of these rights. I was trying to keep the explanation fairly simple at the moment and only dealing with consumer rights, but nothing would eliminate middlemen from the system. Those were the rules. Now to discuss a few of the rights. I propose a common right of access, that if you have a copy of this content with valid IDs on it, anyone is allowed to consume the product, read it, listen to the music. Doesn't matter where the copy came from, if you have a validly identified copy, anyone can use it. And I think this satisfies a very important social principle that, for instance, in the analog world, if you find a book sitting on the chair, there's nothing to say you can't read the content. Moving on as quickly as possible. Authors' rights, as I said, they would initially have all rights, but they could transfer some of these rights to others. From the consumer's point of view, the average consumer, they would typically, purchasing a piece of content, they'd have what I call private rights. They could make unlimited number of copies to satisfy their need to access the work. They could even give it away to friends and acquaintances. There would be a slightly different set of rights if you were talking about public sharing, like putting it on a website or somewhere where it is available totally to the public. But I will show a couple of business models later on where it might be quite feasible and even advantageous to do this. So it doesn't limit copying. And finally, there would be a whole gamut of commercial rights. Too difficult to go into at the moment, but it does not preclude these. The rights office system, as I've described it, is the two offices exchanging a piece of content are effectively making a contract, and any users after this contract has been made can confirm their rights by contacting the rights office. And the important point here is that the Consumers' Rights Office will be acting in the interests of the consumer exclusively. The Authors' Rights Office will be acting in the interests of the author. And as they transfer the content and transfer the identification, they are duplicating each other's registration, and which avoids any possibility of cheating at that stage. And this dual monitoring of the identifiers is self-regulating. Good faith. The question was if you can assume that the Consumer Rights Office is acting independently, or
But you need to have, but you will have the right to have his records transferred to another consumer rights office.
you could. This is getting a bit technical. Yes, that you could introduce a system where you could transfer rights from one consumer office to another. The main principal point is that the consumer can choose which office he wants to represent them, and obviously the reputation of that office for acting fairly and efficiently is important. And as I've already discussed, every copy is identified, and there's no reason to remove the identification. In fact, there's a positive disadvantage to removing it, that you would be holding an illegal copy. By keeping the identifications, no matter where you got the content from, you're holding an illegal copy, so why remove them? Assuming all those principles and the operation can be met, just listing a few of the potential advantages. You'd have clearly identified rules, registered consumers' rights, personal information is protected because you act anonymously with the offices. The common right of access is protected. You would tend to have automatic and permanent archives. The Authors' Rights Office would probably record an archive with the issuing of the ID. No central control, totally distributed. And an interesting feature is once we don't care where the copies are or how many copies there are, the potential to use the digital technology to full advantage. P2P networks, reducing bandwidth, any other of the techniques. Also, the establishment of these offices provides a framework for any other rights management or metadata databases connected with the content. An important aspect of course, or important question is, how could you use this in a business environment? And what are the sort of incentives for people to buy copies if there's going to be identified copies freely available and floating around on the internet and in P2P network? And again, here I believe you have to go back to the contributions model, which is dynamic, and identify where the real value in the system is. The value of in the system is the author who creates something really important and which people want. The musician who creates the best music, the popular music, and the way the business models should be structured is identifying this, and the rights office system with the link between the two offices provides a dynamic system for monitoring or for promoting these links. Some examples of business models might be, if you sell a product and it's recorded in the rights system, you might offer future products as a discount. Therefore, it's a positive benefit for somebody to actually buy the rights of access to that content. Upgrades. This is obviously something which would affect software if it was issued in this system. The people who have purchased rights to the system could get automatic upgrades. People relying on a second-hand free copy somewhere would not necessarily have this facility available to them. I have even more adventurous business models where you'd be encouraged to freely distribute the identified content. But if someone further down the chain decided they would like to become a rights holder and bought the content, this could trigger off a refund of a small percentage or something like this back to the original purchaser of the content, and thus encourage the support and the purchase of the identified works. Another example might be bands have sometimes relied on their fan base to pre-buy a product, and the rights system could record this, and immediately the product was available, it would be instantly available to them because of their rights access to it. Again, this is reflected in the use of the potential use of P2P networks. Another interesting point is, if a system like this was established, you have a system of rights offices that are secure, transferring secure protocols and information between each of them. There's no reason why they couldn't transfer funds at the same time. And it might open up the possibility for a true micropayment type of system where you could just pay small sums of money, which would be an electronic transfer from your consumer's rights office to the author's rights office or the distributor's rights office. I have to keep moving on here. Why will it work is the question I always get asked. And I can't give a categorical answer that it will work, but only point to tendencies which suggest that it could work. You may have heard